Shiva's cosmic dance, or the dance of Shiva. I remember that was my earliest fascination with this religious iconography, and it stayed with me. As you can see, it's obvious. So we start with the mantra, which is popular: Om Namah Shivaya. Om, salutations to Shiva. As simple as that. It has been with the human race for thousands of years, chanted by probably billions of people. There is a hymn to Shiva, a very ancient hymn. Just one line is Jagadrakshayai tvam natasi nanuvamaiva vibhutaha. The translation is, in order to save the world, when thou dancest, the earth wondered at thy striking feet. Dance. It's one of the most powerful and civilizing factors in human societies. And it's been there with us for a very, very long time. People have danced before they went out for a hunt or a war, or somebody is born, somebody is dead, and during spring and harvest festivals, it was dance. Human society was kind of oriented towards these rituals. So, apart from it being a very cohesive factor in human societies, and also its expression, it was one of the earliest forms of language. It also goes back to a pre-civilizational days, when the earliest depictions, rock art, is found 10,000 years old paintings in a cave called Bhimbigeta in Madhya Pradesh in India. We also find in Egyptian iconography about 3,300 years before Common Era, group dancing. So even before the invention of written languages, dance was an integral factor in human development. So this was passed down from generation to generation. I would propose that it's not only pre-civilizational, but it encapsulates all of nature. You find fish, dolphins, and you have birds and bees and insects and reptiles, and they have some form of movement, maybe kind of a courtship, but then it's there. In all of life, you find a kind of some dance form, some movement, some harmony. So it's not just limited to humans. It is the structure of nature. Now that is telling us a lot. Both dance and music, as you've seen, have been powerful factors in human development. We leave the music side for some other time. But if you've seen, if in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you find Sri Ramakrishna now and then going into rapturous songs and dances and getting into a higher state of consciousness called Bhava Samadhi. You also find it, I have seen it also, among these, some of the tribes in India, which they have not been exposed to modern society for thousands of years. They also have dances, and you find it in Amazon and in Africa and all these cultures where they get into a state of mind called a trance simply by dancing. Of course, we have now people who take this psychedelics and they say that, yeah, it was discovered by these ancient shamans, and these people used to dance, get into that tempo, and as the tempo became faster and faster and faster, the whole mind was lifted up and went into something called a trance states. For me, this is an indication of the beginnings of religion. It's not that suddenly God came and said, you are my people and these are the rules, follow them if you want to be really come to my place. No, it never started like that. And we are beginning to understand that this higher states of mind were first accessed through dancing. And then we had the beginnings of religion. They intuited certain aspects of the spiritual world which were not in complete relation with this external world. It was a distinct state of consciousness. So religion began in those early days. How long? Well, we can put it that in a hominid state, we have been having some form of ritual dancing. It was always there. There's something called entrainment. When you hear music, and if the music has got a rhythm and beat, your foot starts tapping and your fingers start tapping, and then your body starts moving. It has always been there. So this is the history of dance embedded in nature actually. So apart from it's a rhythm of life, etc., and all these things, I'll give you a few things. We have, if a person who understands Indian classical dance, it's amazing. It takes years and years and years and years to perfect some of these movements. It was codified by a sage, like all good things. It's a sage who codified these dance forms from very ancient practices, and this codification happened around 2000 years from now. So we have the sage called Bharata Natya Shastra, the scripture on dance. It's a scripture. And one of the most elegant forms of that dance is the dance of Shiva. Okay. Yeah. So we have something called the substructures of the mind. We talk about the mind, and the mind has substructures always. It's always there. And some of these old emotions like joy and sorrow and heroism and peace and bliss and all these things are actually substructures of the mind. So these substructures of the mind have been used along with these gestures, mudras, hands, these expression and body movements in order to have this choreography of this. Now there are hundreds and hundreds of schools that have risen from these old scriptures, which is of course still read, still understood, and still practiced. Dance, I'll go through this dance side quickly. Dance signifies health. Yeah. It's strenuous and you need to be healthy. Okay. It also signifies aesthetics. A person becomes really beautiful when the person dances. It is also a form of an intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence. This has been kind of now understood, that there is no such thing as just IQ. There are various forms of intelligences, and dance is one form of intelligence. Okay. It is transformative in the sense of, if you look at a person who is dancing, there is a release of endorphins from the nervous system, which has an analgesic effect on the body. We won't go into the details, but you find that there is something called the rapture in dance. You get lost in that mood and you lose all sense of time and even space. It's only you're dancing in that beautiful moment. So the cultural impact, especially in Asia, has been tremendous. Even courtesans, they needed to learn to sing and dance. And then we have the whole mythology laid down. Some of our gods and even our goddesses and all, they are dancers or danceuses, whatever you like to say. So in one episode in the Upanishad called the Katha Upanishad, the king of death is trying to tempt the young boy Nachiketa. I'll give you everything. I'll make you the king of this world. I'll give you a long life. I'll give you everything what you want. I'm not interested. And then he said, then I'll give you all these celestial enjoyments. And he showed them these apsaras, they are called, celestial damsels with chariots and you can say musical instruments and dance. He's saying all this is yours. Don't ask the question of death, what happens when a person dies. We'll take that up for another time. And he rejects them all. So in Indian mythology, we have the Ramba and Tilottama and Urvashi and all these are beautiful, beautiful, you can say, celestial nymphs who dance. Okay. It's an amazing. So dance has been integral to human development and society for a very, very long time. So much for dance. Okay. When you talk about cosmic dance, what's the cosmos? Cosmos, as we know, it is just order, a perfection. And that perfection comes through something called chaos. It's an old Greek word, cosmos. Everything is ordered. Yet it is the chaos down below that's giving rise to order. It's a constant dance of celestial systems. You look at the cosmos. I remember going to this planetarium in New York, mind-boggling. It was one of those kind of highly heightened spiritual, you can say, moods. And this is the most spiritual thing that a person can ever have. It just looks out at the universe. Mind-boggling distances with all these systems, with this vast universe. They say there's 100 billion stars, galaxies, each galaxy containing more than 100 billion stars. And these planets, and the distances are so vast, and yet the huge superclusters of galaxies are connected in a way with tendrils of gas and dust. Seen from a kind of a distance, you see they kind of resemble a kind of a nervous system. Happens like that, resemblance, of course. And the place is vast and violent also, occasionally violent, but there is a whole system, everything is kind of working in such harmony, such perfection. These are laws, the simple laws of nature are making these things amazingly ordered. So this chaos and order, which is in a way a dance, chaos giving rise to order, order disintegrating into chaos. Both these systems are constantly at work, and we are getting something called this universe. In a way, we are the universe. We are made of the materials cooked up in those supernovas there. They have blasted themselves and have seeded the universe. Our bodies are made from that star material. We are, in a way, the universe. There are two things that strike you when you look around. First is matter, matter in all its configurations. And there is something called, you intuit, yes, there is a mind. Now, what is the mind? Yeah, we react. We react to external stimulus. And this external stimulus reaction is constantly there in all living beings. Trees react, birds react, plants and everything reacts. So there is matter and mind. These two are the dominant, you can say aspects of creation. There was a belief that only humans had minds. The lower animals never had minds. That has long been dismissed. And thank God for that. In Indian philosophy, it was very clear. Wherever there is matter, there will be a rise of mind. And wherever there is mind, there will be a life. So life, matter, and mind are different aspects of the same thing. So if you look at this vast universe, the universe is, as it were, trying to become self-conscious of its own existence. Right now, through the humans. Who would ever have imagined that all this would have given rise to something called this universe and this self-awareness that's there, primarily in human beings, human minds. Okay. Let's go down a little more deeper now. Now, if you see order and disorder, chaos and cosmos, both are complementary. This has been depicted in a dance form, old dance form of Shiva. So you find two aspects of Shiva. One is the Nataraja, the king of all dances. And his dance is the cosmic dance. And the other aspect of Shiva is the calm, the meditative, and that is another. So, both these aspects, like as it were chaos and cosmos, both are complementary, integral in the same person. Okay. So, it is the dynamic and static, the absolute and relative aspects of the same reality. Now, when we have this, there was the idea that the whole cosmos has sprung from a previous creation. In fact, in Indian philosophy, there is no end point or starting point in creation. It's always on, and there's a rhythm to every kind of thing in life. Everything is cyclic in nature, and you find that if everything is cyclic in nature, you put a, you sow a seed and becomes a tree. And where did the tree come from? Where did the tree come from? The whole of the tree was in that seed. So it has just emerged from there. And then it will go back into a seed, and everything is the seasons, everything, life, death. So this whole creation also is something like this, cyclic in nature. Because if you have a starting point in creation, and you will have to have an ending point, and Indian philosophy simply dispensed with that. We don't want any starting point or ending point. It's ridiculous. There is something called the arrow of time, but then the arrow extended infinitely will come back to its starting point. It might be billions or trillion years, but it does come back to its original. So this is the fundamental aspect of nature, and this aspect of nature, cyclic nature, with its chaos and cosmos, with its activity and rest, everything that is in this universe goes through these two activities: chaos, cosmos, peace, calm, and activity. Okay. So we have in India, we have this Shiva's dance. It's an amazing, you can say, portrayal of this entire process of life and creation. There's a book, it's more than a century old, by Ananda Kumar Swami. I'll quote from there. Shiva is a symbol of Brahman, the universal consciousness. The dance of Shiva, the Nataraja, is the clearest image of the activity of God which any art or religion can boast of. A more fluid and energetic representation of a moving figure than the dancing figure of Shiva can hardly be found anywhere. So when Shiva dances, he reshapes time and space and causation, of course. He represents life, death, and everything in between. He represents creation. He represents destruction, temporary destruction. He represents bondage. He represents liberation. And these are the 5 eternal verities depicted in the forms of Shiva. So if you see the picture of the Shiva, Nataraja, there is a ring of fire around him. It's beautiful, it's kind of blazing. That is time. And time, as it were, disintegrates, reintegrates things constantly. So this is time. Now, when in his right upper hand, he has something called a tabor, it's called a damru, and he breaks it out into a kind of a beat, a drum beat. That signifies the nada, the primeval sound, the sound of creation. Creation begins with not a bang, we say. It's the big bang. No, it starts with that. The roll of the drum, and it keeps on growing. These are the eternal vibrations, and these vibrations are also found all across nature. Everything in this universe vibrates, as it were, with that sound of that ancient drum beat. In his left hand, he holds fire. It is the fire of destruction. That is, the seeds of creation are, you can say, embedded within the seeds of destruction. Destruction in the sense of, when we speak of destruction, it is transformation. Because there is no such thing as absolute destruction, the end times. No. There is something, nature is a huge recycler. Everything is recycled and recycled. It's only now we are trying to understand recycling, and we are failing badly at it, of course. We have not integrated the recycling idea in the manufacturing process. God has done that. So, there's fire, and that is transforming creation into something new. Okay. So, there is something called the, you can say, preservation aspect between these two. So, one hand shows this, right hand, don't worry. So, this is the preservation aspect, saying you won't be mauled right away, don't worry. I'm taking my time about it. There is another aspect that's kind of a balance, that Shiva is kind of balanced on a kind of a small figure which is beneath his feet, one foot rather. And that is the idea of an ego. It's called the Apasmara Purusha, that which represents all delusions, all illusions, all ignorance, all spiritual blindness. So, Shiva has got his foot on that. There is another where Shiva is pointing down at his, you can say, left foot, elegantly raised. That is pointing the way to liberation, moksha. So, throughout the ages, people have kind of depicted various things in this iconography, and we could go on and on and on and on. Yeah, it's kind of never ending. Every part of the statue, as I said, the icon, has a symbolic value, and each part can be spoken for hours. So, just to give a kind of a technical name for this, so these are the creation is Srishti, and the preservation is Sthiti, and then the destruction is Samhara, pulling it. There is coming Tirobhava, that is the release from ignorance, and the idea of moksha, liberation. Because these are the 5 verities that pervade everything in this universe. The goal of life is, as I say, moksha, and that has been presented over and over again. What's the meaning of life? What's life? I don't know. What's the meaning of life? I don't know. What's the goal of life? I don't know. This kind of ignorance is called Apasmara Purusha. Oh, what are you doing here then? I don't know. So all life is directed, has a goal, it has an origin, and it flows towards that end. We can hasten that end if we can, as I say, move towards that which is the source of all life. So when you see this huge, you can say, cosmic dance, cosmos and the icon of Shiva, what does it tell you? We have seen it from the wide angle lens. The huge cosmos is actually something like a chaos and a cosmos, the constant kind of integration, disintegration going on in this universe appears like a dance. And if you go down to the kind of subatomic level, you will find, there is the dance going on. And yeah, very strangely, fortunately, at CERN, that is at the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, where these huge electrons are raced nearly at the speed of light and smashed against each other, and they give up these beautiful patterns. And these particle physicists are trying to understand what these things, trying to make sense of it. It appears the whole thing is dancing. The atoms are dancing, molecules are dancing, the subatomic dancing, energy is dancing. And that's why outside CERN you have the icon of Shiva, this Nataraja. It is there, and that's ideal place to place it. So the plaque says, modern physics has shown that the rhythm of creation and destruction is not only manifest in the turn of the seasons and in the birth and death of all living destruction of creatures, but is also the very essence of inorganic matter. The dance of the atoms is like the dance of Shiva, and this is being spoken about by scientists. So he is saying the metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern science. Yeah. So from the big to the small, you find a kind of a rhythm or harmony. There is that eternal dance going on and on and on. If it wasn't for that, everything would be zero. Nothing would exist. The very nature of existence, that's why they say Shiva dances in existence. Shiva dances because there is existence. So existence, the very fundamental, you can say, nature of this, what we experience, is nothing but a dance, and that is pictorially depicted as the dance of Shiva. So he is that cosmic dancer. In certain traditions, religious traditions, you have Kali dancing. Okay, she is the dynamic aspect of God, and Shiva lies down and she is dancing on him. So the absolute and relative are parts of that same reality. The dynamic aspect, the dancing aspect, and the sleeping aspect, the absolute. So the absolute is essential for that creation to emerge. Like I said, from the very beginning, I was kind of fascinated with Shiva. Oh my God, I somehow it took over my dreams and all these things. So I was kind of curious whether this mythology, does it have a basis? I was young, of course. And then I read an incident. Swami Vijnanananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He was a civil engineer and he had gone from a place called Prayagraj, which is North India, to Benares to supervise the construction of some buildings. So, on his way to the center, there was a small accident, and in those days he had these horse carriages, and his leg got kind of entangled in the wheels of the carriage, and he fell down and he was bruised, and then when he was taken to the center in Benares, he was laid up with high fever. And then in the middle of the night, he sees a tall, white, besmeared with these sacred ashes, with that long hair, is coming, saying, Vigyan Maharaj says, have you come to take me back? I am not going. I have yet to do Sri Ramakrishna's work. And that figure, it was a vision of Shiva. He embraces Vigyan Maharaj. And Vigyan Maharaj says, the body felt so cool and I lost all consciousness. In the morning when I woke up, my fever is gone and I was cured. So this, whether the cosmic dancer exists or no, yes. And what Vigyan Maharaj saw is exactly what is depicted, what is being depicted for the last thousands and thousands of years. Exactly. Everything about Shiva was that what he saw. Okay, that being said, Shiva's hair kind of is flowing as he dances. His four hands are the four cardinal, you can say, directions, but his hair is an expansion of space. So space itself expands. We knew that long time ago. They know it after doing some observations here, that space is expanding. Oh, where is expanding into? Expanding into space. So space is the fabric on which the universe exists. Now, in many, you can say, depictions of this, where does it take place? Where? Okay, talking about the cosmic, you can say, dancer. Yes, the dancer is cosmic and the whole world is his dance. But the scriptures say he dances in something called a Chidambaram. Chidambaram, of course, is a city in South India. It's a beautiful city, beautiful. If you haven't gone there, you should go there. But Chid is consciousness. Ambara is the space, it's a cover of space. So that is what is called Chidam. Where is this consciousness space? The whole universe is consciousness space. And that, according to the scriptures, is also found in each and every heart. As you go down deeper and deeper through meditation, you will find you are entering into a space of consciousness, where the eternal dance of Shiva is going on. Even now, because of that dance, you are alive, I am alive, we all alive, the whole universe is alive, the whole universe exists. If the dancer stops, everything stops. So this is the supreme space in the heart. According to the yogis, they say that the whole universe appears like a bubble in space. disappears like a bubble in space. Is it so vast? Yes, it's so vast. The whole universe, in the words of Swami Vivekananda, the shadow universe arises and merges. So this whole dance, we're talking about the cosmic dance, is being reenacted in every heart. And this reenactment, this dance, constant dance, is the reason why we are alive, why we exist. And if we can understand that eternal links to the cosmos, the microcosm as well as the macrocosm, then we become liberated. So, like I said, there are two aspects of Shiva. One is the dancing aspect and one is the meditative. It's through the meditative aspect you get inside and go into that realm of that eternal dance. So the cosmic dance of Shiva is the eternal dance of Shiva. It's always going on. Playing his drum with the fire, trampling down on illusions, on delusions, and liberating us. This is the cosmic dance. So good luck to you all. Plunge inside and be part of that dance. As I said, the whole of nature is the result of dance, and that's the reason why you find dance everywhere. So go down and dance that eternal dance with the cosmic dancer. Om, peace, peace, peace.